Merci beaucoup pour cette introduction et
Thanks for this introduction. Thanks for
l'invitation
having been invited here
à présenter quelques idées sur
to present some ideas
monétaire.
on the new monetary order which is taking place. I was very honored
Du professeur Cheminade quand nous nous sommes rencontrés
when we have seen Mr. Cheminade
cette session
and when we have prepared
comme
this this
excusez
panel.
pour
I also have to present my excuse
ici et
do my short passage here.
je serai heureux naturellement de prendre des questions
I
immédiatement.
will be happy to answer one or two questions
Essayer de me cantonner
right after my intervention.
aux 15 minutes et peut-être même
I will try to be
qui ont été imparties, ce qui nous permet
as short as possible to
le 15h30 fatidique auquel je devrais vous quitter,
to close my intervention
prendre quelques questions. Je suis sûr
and to answer some questions,
que mon discours ne sera pas suffisamment clair pour éviter que des
because questions will be unavoidable seeing the subject of my complex
très intéressantes
subject of the subject matter of my intervention.
à propos des pays.
The last speaker
La police ressemble de plus en plus à l'armée.
spoke about countries where the police is resembling more and more to the army. In the multipolar world,
Des évolutions différentes.
there are also
À quel point nous sommes dans un
various
monde bipolaire, et ce qui
evolutions
parfois,
indicating
vient parfois de lieux où on ne l'attendait pas.
indicating that hope sometimes comes for
Le
countries
travail qui se passe,
from countries we don't expect
c'est
it
précisément
would come
de
from.
dissocier
For example, in China, the theory
systématique
it's a
le
dissociation
rôle de pur maintien
between
de l'ordre de la police
the maintenance of order and the maintenance of the defense. This is a subject now treated,
il y a encore
which
des
is in a process, an ongoing process.
qui se sont passés
There are still some subjects which are taboo.
il y a 26 ans, on n'en parle pas trop.
In
Mais
26
ils ont
years
aussi
ago,
un début de chemin
but
pour faire évoluer la société.
there is definitely an evolution
Ça n'a absolument rien
which
à
is
voir avec le sujet dont je vais vous parler,
which is
qui est
in the making. This has nothing to do with the subject which will treat. It's the issue of a new monetary order, which is
un peu moins de 10 ans
which is subject on which I worked in the last 10 years. China has
monétaire
to know to what degree China is
inclusif,
entering
pas de conclusion aujourd'hui.
into a new financial world order.
On peut observer aussi
There's no real conclusion. We
ce qui est en train de
can make comments and analyze what's going on.
illustrer
We don't know the outcome,
ce nouvel
the
ordre
final
monétaire
outcome.
pourrait venir
Uh,
des BRICS.
this new monetary order could come from the
L'un
BRICS,
des BRICS,
could come from one of the member states of the BRICS, as we know,
pas
China,
forcément de façon
which not necessarily
autoritaire ou
in an authoritarian way
en sponsor de ce
or
nouvel
as
ordre,
a sponsor of this new
les choses.
world order could bring about an evolution.
Je rappellerai
I also recall
monétaire quelques éléments très simples.
history of
On
monetary,
arrive aujourd'hui
some
à ce moment
elements of the monetary history
Quels sont les éléments qui nous permettent
which
d'identifier les directions que pourrait prendre la Chine et quelles
which
directions
allow us
donner
to
monétaire, et puis
to understand what's going on
quelles sont
right
les
now
possibilités
and what are the possibilities
à ce nouvel ordre monétaire.
this new monetary order would offer to the rest of the
Un
world.
certain nombre des
When we speak about China
ont été évoqués par M.
and
Plénage,
large cultures,
comme en Allemagne probablement.
as in
Ce qui est très important, c'est l'histoire, non seulement la connaissance de l'histoire,
people need to know the history
de l'histoire.
and the study of history.
Quoi qu'on dise,
If you are in a country
pan de sa culture qui est
where a part of his history
donc
and his culture is Marxist,
héritière d'une pensée allemande
which also has inherited a part of the German
au XIXe siècle,
thinking of
l'histoire est
Marx,
quelque chose qui est fondateur
history is
pour
seen
réfléchir ce que l'on doit
as
faire. Et
is something very important which has to define the future
de l'histoire
and
monétaire,
learn the lessons of history.
des
The main
dirigeants
lessons
d'aujourd'hui, mais aussi
learned from monetary history, which is in the mind of historians and the Chinese leaders.
ceux qui se sont passés principalement
It's things which happened in the 19th and the 20th century,
en Extrême-Orient et en particulier en Chine, et au XXe siècle aussi en Extrême-Orient, mais plutôt
in the Far East,
et tout ça va façonner un peu
in China and in Japan.
chinoise vis-à-vis
All this has nourished a certain
rien à voir avec
suspicion
depuis 89
since 1989. What's going on right now?
de ça n'a rien à voir parce que
The contest of the world order. It goes back far earlier.
dans sa représentation du monde flouée par le choix malencontreux qu'elle avait fait au XIXe siècle.
China has been traumatized by
Sur le bimétallisme, mais sur
founded in the 19th century, had founded its currency
alors que la Chine
on silver,
était dans une voie non pas de prospérité parce que au début
while it
du
was
siècle, elle a commencé à être colonisée et
it started being colonized
dans sa lecture
by the Western
au
countries.
moment où effectivement un semble
But
de richesse pouvait se manifester.
At the moment China was becoming richer,
Une baisse
suddenly the price of silver
était déterminée par des
fell massively
chinois
due to
de l'extérieur avec la Chine
conditions
s'est appauvrie et est entrée dans une
which
période
came from the outside of China,
assez
which brought China into poverty,
aux différentes révolutions.
which created different revolutions inside China,
Mise en pièces de
and
l'entrée
the taking down of the imperial system and also of the Japanese power.
quelque chose de
Inside the Japanese consciousness says we don't have to accept
incidemment
the loss of Chinese sovereignty. This is also seen by another part of China,
qui incarne
which is
dans
on
l'esprit
the other side,
des dirigeants de Taïwan la souveraineté
say in Taiwan, what's remaining of sovereignty,
qui a longtemps
the central bank of Taiwan, which had a lot of reserves,
d'une certaine façon qu'il y a un reste de souveraineté à Taïwan.
which means there is still some form of sovereignty
Le
in
monétaire,
Taiwan.
le souverain, c'est très important.
The sovereign,
L'autre
the
élément,
issue of sovereignty and money, the currency, is very important in the mind of the Chinese.
c'est l'ennemi,
Of course,
c'est le sparring partner, et c'est pas
China is in part the sparring partner
et la meilleure preuve de ça, c'est que pour la Chine,
of
la fin
Japan has been a sparring partner,
date
but the end
1985.
with the Plaza agreements in '85,
Se tire
when
with flying colors des accords de Plaza, parce qu'on demande aux deux devises
when the German and the Japanese currency are called to be re-evaluated.
lente
The
processus
Deutsche Mark
de réévaluation,
will slowly re-evaluate, but will not
réévaluation brutale.
accept brutal re-evaluations.
Du fait de la fierté
But
japonaise,
the yen,
nous pouvons
on the contrary,
non plus de 360, mais de 200, 280, parce que notre productivité peut encore augmenter. Le Japon accepte.
Japan accept
Et en 6 mois,
in 6 months
se réévalue de 50%, et puis on arrive
the currency
et au bout de
is
12 ans, de
is
360, le
is
yen passe à 80 yens pour un dollar. Bien sûr, on est revenu à d'autres parités aujourd'hui,
is
mais pour la lecture chinoise,
the yen
c'est la perte de
knows
souveraineté monétaire du Japon.
Japan will lose suddenly a huge part of its monetary sovereignty
Très important parce
through
que
this internationalization of the yen.
les personnes qui ont travaillé sur les marchés financiers savent que l'internationalisation du yen a été très limitée.
People who work on financial markets know that the yen is not so much internationalized as thought,
Ce qui est marquant, c'est celui de la très forte dévaluation
but the very strong devaluation
qui se situe entre 1945 et 1949.
between 45 and 49.
Interprète comme l'une des raisons de la chute du régime de Chiang Kai-shek. Non seulement la corruption, bien sûr, mais aussi le manque de maîtrise sur l'ordre économique et l'ordre
And
monétaire.
then there's the collapse of in Taiwan of Chiang Kai-shek
La Chine
system.
entrant dans le monde moderne,
When China enters the modern
entre 70
period
on va dire,
between 79 and 2008,
même si elle ne les aime, elle a aussi
China will accept the rules,
on ne va pas
but
parler
they have no time to take care
une période pendant laquelle
about
la Chine dans l'OMC
trying to change the
va
system.
accumuler des réserves et elle va être
And after WTO,
donc l'ordre monétaire.
China will build up huge reserves in dollar.
2009 arrive,
The 2008-2009 crisis arrives, and there's a shift,
donc
and then
dans une sorte
China
de coopération,
threatens to come
peut être
into
aussi un asservissement et une
a form of cooperation where China
vous êtes riche,
realizes that it can lose
Gordon Brown et Nicolas
you're rich, you come to the G20. Sarkozy and Brown said you should do something to help the world order. You put a finger in the system and you don't know how it will end. And immediately the Chinese have a reflex to react. And they say, what can we do with the currency? We don't want to lose the control of the currency. We don't want to accept this post-Bretton Woods order, which can lead to a loss of sovereignty. And very simply, what China tries to do through these various steps is to internationalize its currency without convertibility. And it's decided that a currency can circulate in a certain limited, for certain amounts, but through swap agreements, which doesn't mean that the currency cannot be sucked into the global financial monetary markets. Today it's the 7th currency in terms of trade exchange. That's important. It's still very few as compared to the dollar or the euro. In 2005, China accepted to reevaluate its currency. It ended in 2008. In 2010,
qui vit sa vie, mais pour un montant extrêmement limité, et qui est une espèce de test de ce que pourrait être une devise.
And then there's this experience in Hong Kong, where it puts a double standard system in Hong Kong, where the amount of convertible, which is called the exterior yuan, is controlled by the Chinese central bank. So China is in the game, in the same time it's out of the game. Today, it has not yet chosen to build its own system, but it has decided not to enter into the global convertibility and general exchange, not without accepting counterparts. In autumn will be decided. It has to be decided if the yuan will be integrated into the special drawing rights of the IMF, which would change quite some things. While the currency is not convertible, it is possible that this negotiation, maybe China will be refused, and it will powerfully assert its sovereign control over its currency. China especially is interested in defending its own close environment. It could be a yuan zone. It can develop, but it will never be in competition with another currency, to which it will leave its own role and its own space. So this potential construction of the world, of a pseudo G2, it doesn't mean a G2 or reduce the world to two systems. If the new system will take over the old system, I don't know. I'm not sure at all. I don't have an answer. I'm not convinced that China desires to replace the global system and the global monetary system. It's probably better to be the weak who's rising than to be the yang who declines. I stop here. Thank you.